All right, one of my favorite guys, Danny Parkins, Breakfast Ball, FS1. Uh, as I've told the story before, tried to recruit him to the volume, but he was very pricey. The free agent market was very competitive, and we couldn't land him years ago, so he's a teammate now. So I was thinking about this. I'm going to throw this out to you on LeBron James, because there's a lot of Lakers aren't doing anything in free agency. People in LA are freaking out. Especially at the center position, they don't really have a big. Deandre Ayton's not who you want, like just not a committed guy. But I was
Yeah.
thinking about this. So let's go into it. Deandre Ayton, who I don't think necessarily is a good fit. Laker fans are banging on the table. You've got to do something. You've got to do something. You've got to do something. And they do want to do something. They want to sign Luka this summer.
Yeah.
But they don't. They really, the Lakers are literally trapped. So they signed DeAndre Ayton, a buyout. Blazers bought him out. It didn't work in Portland. It did not work in Phoenix. Uh, Distracted, not necessarily. Like if there was an NFL comp, it'd be Kyler Murray. It's like, you see some talent, but you're like, are you really in? Didn't get along with Phoenix. I think he views himself as this is why I don't think it'll be great for the Lakers. He views himself as a much more important offensive piece than any coaching staff has viewed him. And between Austin, Luke, and LeBron, he ain't getting many shots. I mean, he wasn't getting them in Portland, and Portland's got a bunch of kids who needed his offense. So this to me is a complete desperation move that they just, but here's the thing. In the West, Jokic, OKC's got two bigs. Minnesota's got size. Like you start looking around, Dallas has four different players on their front line. You can't be small. The Warriors know this the last 3 years. You can't be a small team out west. You can get away with it a little bit. Giannis obviously is big, but you can lose Porzingis if you're Boston. You can survive. You can lose Miles Turner. I think Indiana with your pace and survive. In the West, if you don't have a big, you are a playing team at best. So I think it's not a great fit. It'll last a year or two, but I think they had to do something.
Yeah, I mean, this is buying low, right? That's what this is. I mean, DeAndre Ayton, guy's made $137 million in his career already. He's 26 years old. Like, there's something to height, size, talent. And so he probably, because the thing is, like, why hasn't DeAndre Ayton gotten better? Why doesn't he have more attention to detail? Why is he not more disciplined? And it's like, well, doing it his way through just natural talent and physical gifts. The guy's had seasons where he's averaged 18 and 10. He's
Yeah.
had multiple years in a row where he's averaged double digit rebounds. Like he's 55, 58% from the floor, and he's making 30 plus $1 million a year. He's like, I don't know. The way I'm doing it seems like it's working out pretty well. Honestly, like we just see like I also always used to talk about Javi Baez that way in baseball. He was like, why should I learn to hit the slider low and away? My way has gotten me $200 million.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you can be paid a lot of money and be really successful while having a fatal flaw. And yeah, DeAndre Ayton feels like a guy who is never gonna like max out and reach his full potential, but 80% of his full potential is still a really lucrative basketball player. I will say that not needing to be the focal point of the offense might bring out like a best version of DeAndre Ayton if I was going to try to be optimistic about it, because it's a pretty good gig to be a big and play with Luka Doncic. Because Luka's superpower is collapsing a defense and then he can throw that lob pass. Like he might remember like DeAndre Jordan on Lob City when he would play with
Yeah.
Chris Paul, and it was just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like this guy would hit 9 shots a game and 8 of them were dunks right at the like just the
Right.
easiest 20 points you ever got in your life. Like I could that they tried to trade for Mark Williams, then they failed as physical. Mark Williams, flawed player,
Yeah.
but huge. But he's huge. I think that was all they wanted. To your point, it was like they tried to trade for size, then they flunked him on his physical, and now they're like, okay, LeBron opted in. We don't want to trade Austin Reeves. We just need size for a year. Let's go get the former number 1 overall pick. and see if LeBron and Luka can get something out of him. So this is
Yeah.
just classic buy low, and you take a lottery ticket on it and see if it works.
Yeah, yeah. They were really got, when Clint Capella goes back to Houston and Lopez goes to the Clippers, you're like, okay. I mean, listen, if you'd asked them a week ago if they wanted DeAndre Ayton, there would have been a, like a warning sign in front of DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, this is not option A, B, or C, right? Like Dallas, I mean, Dallas is going to hold on to all of their bigs, which was surprising. I know like some people thought that like
I
either live or like Lively or Gafford was going to be available. So that one's a little surprising, but they're clearly holding on to everybody at least for now. So there's no way DeAndre Ayton was option A. Um, and again, we still don't know exactly what LeBron will do, but catching lob passes from Luka Doncic, DeAndre Ayton can do that. Just don't draw up offense for him, and you're going to be very disappointed with him defensively.
Well, and I also think we have to be so that Walter Group comes in. One of the things they've done with the Dodgers is they've made the games as the world's becoming events. The Olympics do well, Caitlin Clark games do well, the World Cup does well, the Gold Cup's done well. If you can make stuff feel like an event, NFL, college football, events work in a distracted nation. I mean, everybody's on their phone, right?
Yeah, yeah, of
And
course.
the truth is, if I said it to you out loud, LeBron, Luka, Ayton, Reeves, JJ Redick's coach. It does. The Dodgers have done this. They've made their Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night games at Dodger Stadium like feel big. I mean, I'm home in LA when I was in LA, and if the Dodgers are on, I'm like, oh, Otani's batting. There's Mookie and Freddie Freeman and Max Muncy. You're like, is this an all-star game? They feel huge from the sound of LeBron, Luka, Reeves, DeAndre, JJ Redick coaching. It feels big. It may be the sixth best team in the West, but it feels like it's the could vie for the
But
championship.
but be honest, can't you just stop at LeBron and Luka in LA?
I
Like
don't
if
think so anymore. I don't.
really, so like so you're
Yeah.
telling me movie stars courtside, LeBron James, Luka Doncic. You think Austin Reeves and DeAndre Ayton is tipping
I
some sort of
think
scale there?
I think they're JJ Redick felt like a star. I think JJ Redick
I'll
got
buy
that
that.
job.
I'll buy
Yep.
that. But
Yep.
I don't know that I think that like all of a sudden like Timothy Chalamet is like, God, I gotta be courtside to see DeAndre Ayton.
Well, in my time in Los Angeles, the Dodgers have completely separated from the Lakers as the biggest show in town. Like it's not close. Everybody, all you see in LA is Dodger hats. Everybody in LA is a Dodger fan. I mean, it's really an incredible separation. Like Chicago's always been like Bears Cubs. It feels
Yeah,
big, right? And
yeah.
it's like, and it just depends on the season, the off season for the Dodgers because they get the best players in the world. I mean, there's like multiple blogs that have succeeded on Dodger talk. So I think they have to get back to feeling big. And I think the other thing is Los Angeles is a very savvy basketball market. You got two teams. The fans really know. Like I said this years and years ago when I was out east, you would go to a Boston and Yankee game in New York. The fans knew the lineup. Like they
Oh
would
yeah.
be, I mean, they knew, if Joe Torre went to the pen, they
Get a lefty
knew,
up, Tori. What are you doing? He's
yes,
leaving he's hanging the curveball. He's out. Get him out. Yeah, of course.
yeah, there's a lot of fan bases, Charlotte in the NFL, where they're there for the cheap beers and the good sun or something. Like LA is a smart basketball market. If you don't have a center, we have 41-year-old LeBron and Luka who's finally working out. That's not fans there know. Jackson Hayes, JJ Redick can't stand him. He doesn't want him on the floor. So I think Aiton
Uh,
makes them feel like athletic and big and viable. It feels bigger because I think Laker fans are smart. I really do. I think it's one of the smarter fan bases in the country where like they know the difference between, the influencers don't care, but real basketball fans, and there are many in LA, get you can't compete in the West without a big. Can't.
But we're also immediately having a reaction to this news by saying that this was option C or D for them, and it probably isn't going to work.
But he
So,
is Aiton is entertaining. He feels. I mean, he is. if I told you on a nightly basis, oh, you've got to see this Ayton dunk or this, you'd be like, oh yeah. I mean, he does feel at times offensively like a star.
He has, he listen, he has his moments. He's very talented. And again, he's not as bad as people have made him out to be. Like the guy can, if you can be an 18 and 10 guy and go 58% from the floor, that's that's something. Now it's not
His
Luka, but it's something.
No, his problem has always been he views himself as a 26 and a half point a game guy. Like he sees himself as like he feels like he's never been given the respect he deserves. But the truth is his coaches and teammates think he's getting more than he deserves.
Right. Well, I always love the story of Mario Chalmers on the Dwayne Wade, LeBron, Miami Heat. And there was like, not confirmed. It was like urban legend that he was like, "Hey, why did you never draw up the final play or the final shot for me?" He's like, I've hit a big shot or two in my career. And it's like, buddy, a shot for Kansas. We got LeBron. Like, there can be like an overinflated sense of self, but I would hope that when Deandre Ayton looks around the huddle and he sees Luka and LeBron, he's not going to be busting JJ Redick like, "Hey, why aren't you drawing up the play for me, coach?"
Live Golf Dallas just wrapped up with a bang. Local heroes Bryson DeChambeau and his Crushers GC team celebrated victory on Bryson's home turf in front of a record crowd of over 50,000 fans for the weekend. So next, Live Golf returns to one of the world's most revered courses at Spain's Real Club Valderrama from the 11th to the 13th of July. So it's another chance to see 54 of the world's best golfers competing for individual and team glory. So last year, DeChambeau and his Crushers Golf Club suffered a heartbreaking playoff defeat to Sergio Garcia's Fireballs, so Bryson will be looking to claim his first ever win at Valderrama. But he'll have to contend with the passionate Spanish crowd cheering on their countrymen. So there's another factor at play. John Rahm, another Spanish superstar, is chasing his own first ever win at Valderrama. Live Golf Andalusia promises to be a thrilling competition beneath the Spanish sun. So if you want to catch all the drama in Valderrama, you can follow every shot live on Fox Sports. I do think what is interesting, and we got a lot of things to talk about, but I was talking to the staff before we did this, is most of the time, if there's a sort of a trend in sports, I love decoding it. It's one of my favorite things to do. Like I've got my theories and beliefs. The NBA West is now so much better than the East. It has been for 30 years. And a lot of it's just because bad ownership in Charlotte and Chicago and Atlanta and Washington. It's like the all bad owner front office teams are all mostly out east. The West, Denver and Houston now are capable of winning the title. OKC just did. San Antonio's going to make a huge leap. Minnesota's really, really good. The Lakers have Austin Reeves, LeBron, and Luka. Golden State has Butler, Draymond, and Steph. And the Clippers are viable. You could argue all of those teams. I mean, the Warriors were a play-in team last year. All of them could compete for the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not sure they could win it. I don't think the Clippers could win it. But it is interesting. The only thing I can account for the dominance, it's like SEC times two. The SEC had a 20-year run, but now the Big Ten feels as good or better. The West is pulling away. Some of it's just
Yeah.
Tatum and Halliburton's injuries. My guess is its ownership stinks out east. I mean, the Knicks firing Tibbs. I mean, any thoughts on the domination? It's a winter league and the weather's better out west. I mean, I don't even
Yeah,
know.
I think that's actually a piece of it, right? I think like some of it is people want to go to LA. That's two of the teams. The Warriors became a juggernaut, world-class organization, Silicon Valley business. That's out. All these guys now have podcast companies and media companies and all of that. Your ownership point out east is luck of the draw. Some of it is lottery too, right? Like the Spurs won the lottery in the Wembanyama year. West. Dallas wins the lottery in the Cooper Flag year. West. You didn't mention Dallas. Dallas has
Yeah.
Kyrie, Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flag.
No, you're right. I forgot to put Dallas, and there's six teams I love.
I think that what Milwaukee did made sense. I know they're getting killed for it, but they were just the 5 seed in the East. You are as much of an NBA fan and historian as I am. Can you think of, because I have a period of time that I'm thinking of, where the gap between the best player in a conference and the second best player in a conference has been larger than what it will be next year between Giannis and the second best player in the East without Jason Tatum. Because, like, second best player in the East next year, Cade
Bank,
Cunningham, Jalen
Bankero.
Bancaro, sure. Jalen Brunson. Like, Giannis is 30, 12, and 6 and still a top 15 to 20 defensive player in the league. And the only reason he's not top 5 defensively is because he's doing so much damn work on offense. Like, they were just the 5 seed. They absolutely believe that they can win. And they might be dead ass wrong. And, they gave up everything for Dame and Drew, and then Dame got hurt, and you not like Miles Turner's game. But Milwaukee is saying Giannis gave us everything, including a title, and he wants to be Kobe. He wants to be Tim Duncan. He wants to be here forever. So in the East, why can't he grind us to 50 wins and the 4 seed and his third MVP, which would be there's only 9 guys in NBA history who won 3 or more MVPs. And like that season, even if it doesn't end in a title, that's a season that Bucks fans would love. Like that's a worthwhile exercise in professional sports entertainment. I think if the Bucks with Giannis and the Dame injury and the salary cap situation and the lack of draft picks, if they were New Orleans, if they were in the West, they would trade Giannis. But they look at it and they say, we've got the best player in the history of the franchise at the peak of his powers who wants to be here. He's not looking for Miami or LA or movie stardom or anything like that. Like, okay, fine. We'll stretch Dame and we're going to just try to grind out as many wins as possible. Like, I think there's something admirable in it, even if it won't end in a championship.
Yeah, so I have the opposite take, which is it is so hard. First of all, dynasties mostly come in certain NBA cities or when you have a transformational player and he has a great coach, like Duncan and Pop, Kerr, KD, Curry, Magic and Riley, LeBron, Wade, Spoelstra. And so Milwaukee's never gotten the coach right. And it's also not a desirable area. And in my life, and we're seeing it now in the 70s, and now we're seeing it over the last 7 years. It's just one, there's no great teams with the new CBA and aprons. There won't be. You just can't do it. I mean, even a team I like next year a lot, Orlando, they may never win a title. Just have a bunch of 1A player and a bunch of B plus A minus guys. But in NBA history, that sometimes one is enough. Think about how good the Shaq, Penny, Nick Anderson, Dennis Scott teams were.
Yeah.
No titles. Think how
Right.
good the Sacramento Kings were. They couldn't get through the Lakers. No titles. Is that Lou Alcindor got one. Jokic got one. My take is OKC won't win it next year. They're too inconsistent offensively, and Houston now and Denver and all these teams in the West, they're just going to chip away at everybody. Is that if you win one and you have Giannis and you win one and you still have a wildly productive player, but you can't get the coach right and you get old really fast, which happened in Milwaukee 3 years ago, Middleton, lower body injuries. You're like, yeah, this is getting old fast. Is that, and you watch the Rudy Gobert trade, I would have gone, oh, we can get 6 uncontested first round picks, an all-star and 2 rotational players. But I do think smaller markets, the Orlandos and the Sacramentos, they hold on to stuff because it's the big show in town. It's of mice and men, Lenny squeezing. They can't let go. And it's like, guys, you have been so old and such a bad matchup against younger athletic teams like Boston for 3 years. I mean, I think people are forgetting they were favored over Indiana. Indiana destroyed them. The games weren't competitive.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think there is some truth to that, but there's also like they've had bad injuries at bad times. Like I was at game 1, Bucks Heat, and it was the 1 seed v the 8 seed, and they lose to Miami. Giannis falls on his back in the playoffs, gets hurt, isn't the same guy the
Yeah.
rest of the series. Dame hurt, in the playoffs. Doesn't play this whole series. Middleton has gotten hurt in the playoffs. I think they got one, and then they haven't won playoff series since. And the national response is like, oh, well, so then they haven't been close since. In Milwaukee, they're like, well, we've also had bad injury luck to go along with it. And you're definitely right. They want to hold on to it, and it's the big game in town. But has Utah won the Rudy Gobert trade? Like the team that trades the superstar for the 4 or 5 or 6 assets, there's not a lot of examples of it working out. It worked out in Oklahoma City. They traded Paul George and they get SGA and a draft pick that becomes Jalen Williams. But they also had Sam Presti doing the trading and the drafting, and there aren't many of those guys out there. Like, what's a trade for Giannis where you're going to turn around and be like, yup, the Bucks are going to be
Here,
back in the NBA Finals in 3 years?
okay, this is the one. So KD, Şengün, Thompson don't win. They don't even get to the finals. And KD's 1 year older. And then Houston says, Fertitta says, okay, we're going for it. Okay, we're going to go for it. Şengün, an all-star for Giannis.
Yeah,
Jabari Smith, who's going to back up KD this year,
sure.
and 5 unprotected first round picks and maybe a deep bench rotational player. Now it's KD, Amen Thompson, Giannis, and other young guys. The
Oh,
move
I
to
get
me,
why Houston would want it.
but if I'm Milwaukee, I mean, Şengün's going to be a 24 point a game guy for the next 8 years. He's really a beautiful player.
Yeah. So is Domantas Sabonis. What has he won?
Well, no, okay, it's fair, But then
It's
I get
hard.
Jabari.
It's hard. It's hard. My point is I think you're always going to lose on that trade. And even if your point is, okay, well, 80 cents on the dollar is better than 50 cents on the dollar, there's something to, and I think we can be a little national, remove fandom, live in a bunch of different places. There's something to Giannis loving Milwaukee and Milwaukee loving Giannis. He was
Yes.
the, he was the 15th pick in the draft. He was a skinny kid from Greece. And when he came to Milwaukee, you can Google the stories. The NBA was like buying the arena back from the Bucks
Yes,
because
I remember.
they're like, you need to get public financing for your stadium or we are going to move your team. And they got the financing. They opened the building. Ownership says this is a commitment to show that we can build around and win with Giannis. They built a new practice facility, a beautiful new arena, and then he delivers a championship. And this is just a silly anecdote that I happen to know just from being in Chicago, but like Giannis, whenever he would come and play the Bulls, he would go to you probably know Avli, the Greek restaurant. There's one in
Yes.
yeah. So the guy who owns it is Lou Canellis, the local sports anchor on the Fox affiliate in Chicago. He's a restaurateur also. It's probably his main business by now. There's one in there's like 5 locations, 4 or 5 locations in and around Chicago. And there's one in Milwaukee that everyone was like, oh, Giannis is going to leave Milwaukee and go to the Bulls because he wants to like have all the good Greek restaurants in Chicago. And he's like, no, I'm just going to open a good Greek restaurant in Milwaukee. Like he brought the Greek food to Milwaukee. Like the guy, it's a throwback, man. Like Steph Curry is the Warriors. It would be weird if he played somewhere else. Tim Duncan was the Spurs. Kobe was the Lakers. I am just rooting for the purity of the 15th pick in the draft who delivers the title to the small market and is like, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm not messing with happy. I think you like moving. You like LA. You're like I like London and LA and Europe and backpacking and biking and like you like moving around. And I get it. But this guy, I think he just likes Milwaukee. I think
Last night.
we project onto Giannis what we want Giannis to play for a championship again. And he's
That's
like,
right.
and he's like, why can't I play for a championship here? And he's probably wrong.
Yeah.
But he's probably wrong. But I think there's something admirable in like the effort, like the
Well,
trying.
okay, so you're more of a sports romantic. I think you have
I
that
can
part.
be. I can
Yeah.
be. Yeah, absolutely. I can be.
Nothing says summer like long days, clutch plays, and firing off a few bets on a game. All of it with DraftKings Sportsbook, my fave. Season's heating up, so do the bats. And DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. Home run props, live betting, odds boosts. Whether you're chasing dingers or jumping in mid-game, there's always action to be had. So if you've never bet on baseball before, it's really, really easy. You just pick a guy, you hit a home run, hammer some live odds mid-game, or just ride with your squad and hope for the best. No spreadsheets, just vibes. So here's something special for first timers. You may have heard this before. New DraftKings customers. All you have to do is bet $5. That's it. And you'll get $150 in bonus bets instantly. So you just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You know how to do that, 90 seconds. And just use my code. It's Colin, Colin. That's code Colin, Colin. That'll get you 150 bucks if you're a new customer. Betting just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. So let's then segue to a topic I saw this week. So this is something that I've never understood. I don't understand the advantage of it. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, when the NFL, you literally could be average at quarterback and win your division regularly. You ran the ball, you played defense. The NFL allowed all sorts of clutching and grabbing and hitting late. I mean, there's videos of Joe Montana being slammed to the turf, which would get you thrown out for like 6 games now. So I never understood snow games, but I do think there was an era in which if you were built right, run game, weren't great at quarterback, defense, snow games were a little bit of an advantage. But
Okay, yeah.
Cleveland, the Cleveland Browns come out over the last week and they're like, we're coming out with a new stadium. And people are like, oh my God, there goes the home field advantage. I'm like, you have a horrible home record over the last 3 decades, first.
Right.
But my takeaway is it's a quarterback league. Snow, Brady is an exception that I would watch him and Manning play in snow, and I'm like, oh, Tom's winning the game. I could tell in pregame. They take that shot on CBS, and Manning would be freezing in Foxborough. I'm like, Tom's winning. It's over. Is that the snow game today? There's not many of them, it feels like, but I think it's always been completely overrated. There's a reason we play bowl games in better weather. I don't want my football screwed with by ice storms and sleet, and I think it remains the most overrated thing in American sports, the snow football game.
I want my games to be played like they are supposed to be played. So I'm glad the Super Bowl is in a dome.
Right.
I do. But I like December regular season games in snow. I think there is something to like like there's like some stadiums that should just be grandfathered in. Like Fenway's like a little bit of a pain in the ass. But you'd be bummed if they changed Fenway. Wrigley, they've renovated Wrigley and they've made it better with video boards and accessibility and all of that. But like that is still a brick wall out there covered by ivy. It's not like the
Yeah.
most practical thing in the world, right? Like if Pete Crow Armstrong, who's going to be the starting center fielder for the National League, ran into the brick wall and broke his shoulder, we would do the topic of like, should there be a brick wall in center field?
Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty dangerous. That's pretty archaic. But there's a charm to it. It doesn't have to make sense. Lambeau, like if so you'd say that the Packers should put a roof on Lambeau Field?
No, I think
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, I
Exactly.
think Green Bay is what Green Bay is. I think its history is the frozen tundra and Vince Lombardi,
Right.
right?
Because it doesn't make any sense for an NFL team to be in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Right?
That's right.
If we were starting the league tomorrow from scratch and you picked 32 cities, we wouldn't pick Green Bay. But
Well,
we
it's
but we all
it's
agree the NFL is better with Green Bay existing.
what is laughable about the Bears is Green Bay has always drafted quarterbacks, Favre, Aaron, and Love with above average arms. And the Buffalo Bills with Jim Kelly and Josh Allen understand the value of a whip in northern
Right.
climates. That's why it was always indefensible when Mitch Trubisky, whose ball died 24 yards down the field, was drafted by the Bears. It's like, is there a dome stadium that was just agreed to that I'm not aware? Like, there's some teams that don't even understand the weather advantage is this: dome team draft Tua, warm weather Tua. If you draft him in cold, you're idiotic and should be fired as a general manager, right?
Right. Right. Like the Yankees are going to be in the market for every lefty slugger because they have a short porch and right. You know what I mean? Like there's something to it. But so I hear what you're saying about outdoor stadiums, but it's like if we don't want Arrowhead to go away and we don't want Lambeau to go away, then like I understand Cleveland fans bitching and moaning about the dome too.
Sorry to interrupt this great video, but please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you. Now back to the video.
I hope.
Um, so the there's a lot of different topics. I think the
Can I
Caitlin
can I
Clark thing.
can I do a topic, Colin? Let me do a topic. I want to do a
All right,
topic.
go ahead. Go
It's
ahead.
your podcast, but I'm doing a topic.
Yeah.
Congratulations on
Oh
making
boy.
it to the Radio Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
And you can put this at the end or you can scrub it out entirely. I don't know, but I hope you don't. But you have started and developed a very successful business. You are a legend in the industry. You have conquered multiple mediums. And I know that Hall of Fame talk on talk shows. Is Pete Rose a Hall of Famer? Is it a museum? Is he a first
Right.
ballot guy? Is he overrated? Is he snubbed? Will you admit that it meant something to you?
Oh God, sure. Yes.
Because like the radio purist in me, because I will always consider myself a radio guy, and I know you're the same.
Yeah, I'm the same.
It's so cool. It's
Yeah,
so
it
cool.
is. But you know what?
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. So it's weird because, as my staff knows, I take so much pride in topic selection, and I know the audience doesn't care. You do, Nick does. I got some of the nicest note, Joe Fortenbaugh, uh, old bosses, people that love radio, sent me the sweetest, kindest notes. Listen, I was 7 years old, rural. My mom got me a transistor radio. This was 1972, 73. There weren't that many games on TV. ESPN wasn't a thing. And radio was my friend. I'm
Yeah.
rural. Like I was 8 miles from the closest friend. And I would sit in our Frank Lloyd Wright house on the second. There was a picnic table in the back patio. I'd get on it, go to the second floor. And for some reason, there was this weird vortex where all these AM radio signals came in. And I would sit there listening to baseball games. And I heard Vin Scully when I was 8 on a scratch. It was KFI or something in LA, whatever it was. And it was scratchy. I would take notes. I would write down. I would get names. Radio's always been something I love. Now, once I went to simulcast, I have to play the TV a lot. That's the reality of it. TV's bigger.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal. I don't get terribly emotional about stuff. I've seen everything now at this point, but my wife knows how much it means. My friends know how much it means. It's a big deal for me, and I don't want to be self-congratulatory, but yeah, for in my life, it's been one of my goals, really.
Really? Okay. See, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And the reason I didn't send you a text because I knew I was already booked for this when the news
yeah,
came out. So I wanted to do it
yeah.
face to face. But like you inspired so many people of like Nick and Mai's generation to do radio. And then Nick and I would always joke, and I think he said it to you, and I'm not sure if I had, but then like you also kind of like ruined the next generation of radio hosts because people would try to be you and like try to do, but your brain is so singular in terms of the analogies and the comparisons, and like it was an amazing thing. And then you would hear people try to be you, and it was like, no, man, this is like a one of one talent that you've crushed it in podcasting and TV and all that. But like it was made for radio because the beauty of radio is that you've got the long runway. You've got the
Yes,
runway to tell the story, to be personable, to be vulnerable, to to be circuitous if you want to talk about the fandom in LA of a LA person and then relate that to why they can be savvy with basketball but still care about start. Like it's perfect for radio. It's also perfect for podcasting. I understand how podcast has kind of replaced radio, but it's just, you really deserve it. And I don't know how many more people in generations after you, if any, will have a big impact on the genre of radio just because it's changed. Like
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like there was going to have to be like a podcasting hall of fame, like people younger than Colin Cowherd that made a real impact in radio. It's a short list, man. Like, because it's not as influential anymore, sadly. And so, like, you are probably one of the last, like, truly radio titans. Other people will get in, like they'll keep inducting people. But
yeah,
in terms of people who meant more to the medium than you, there's not gonna there will be some who meant as much or like were on your level because I'm just not thinking of the like Ryan Seacrest. I don't know if he's in. He meant a lot
yeah,
to right. You know
yeah.
what I mean? I don't know. There's probably a few more, but like you're one of the last ones, man. Like you meant a ton to radio. So I just want to say congratulations.
Well, I appreciate that. I think sometimes I've told people before, growing up divorced by myself, my sister was 5 years older. I wrote about it in my first book. I was actually lucky. I had all the things needed to tell good stories on the radio. I was by myself rurally all the time. I can remember playing, and I know I'm going on and on about this, but
No, no, people love this, and we can cut it, but
okay.
don't.
So when I was a little kid, like 8, 9, 10 years old, that kind of thing, in the mid '70s, the Cincinnati Reds were a great team, and I loved them. And
Yeah.
I can still give you the entire roster of the Reds and the Dodgers. And I mean, the infields were legendary. Garvey and Lopes and Russell and Ron Say against, it's like, Tony Perez and Joe Morgan and Dave Concepcion and Pete Rose at third. And I would do lineups and I would play wiffle ball by myself. So I would
Hell
throw the ball up, hit it. And I do remember there was a moment, and I wrote about this in the book, that I was obviously bored because we had these trees in right field. And I had Cesar Geronimo, who I never saw hit a home run, hit a home run in my mind in wiffle ball. And I remember thinking, I went and got the ball, and I didn't have the self awareness before this. I was probably 9 or 10. And I thought, man, I'm alone a lot. I'm alone a lot. And it really hit me that I was talking to myself all the time and like out loud in the yard, like just talking to myself doing the games. And so when people have ever asked me, you kind of talk to yourself a lot. And I'm like Larry King, the late Larry King once came up and he goes, "How do you talk to yourself 3 hours a day?" I said, "You should hear the other 14." I said, "Larry, this is just what I've been doing since I've been like 6 or 7 because I grew up rurally by myself. My sister was 5 years older. So, she's out of high school by the time I get into it. 14-year-old girls don't want to hang out with 9-year-old boys.
yeah.
Like,
No,
they
9-year-old
don't.
boys are down to hang out with 14-year-old girls. Yeah, yeah, but not the other way
So,
around.
so a lot of the things in my life, growing up in the middle of nowhere, I think probably just manufactured this kind of odd talking to yourself personality that works.
Yeah, well, no, and that makes perfect sense too. Why you've never really, I mean, obviously, J Mac and what, but like it's also why you've been a solo act. It's
Yeah,
hard to
yeah.
do. Like it's you know what I mean. Like I take a lot of pride in being able to do it. Solo radio is hard. It's a hard thing to do.
So here's an interesting one. I'll throw this at you. So if you took, I think there's 360 Division One men's programs. As far as I can tell, men's basketball programs, a woman's never coached them. In the history of the NBA, there's never been a head coach of an NBA team. I guess if you went and found the top 25 boys basketball teams, they'd probably be coached by guys. Now, obviously, men coach women all the time. We see that WNBA, we see it in college, high school, whatever. But it doesn't go the other way. The door doesn't open the other way. So when Don Staley got talked about for the Knicks, and I've thought about this before, I've thought about, I think it would actually potentially work. Now, New York's not easy. It's a relentless media. They just ran Tibbs out of the building. It's like, I think New York wouldn't, I wouldn't want that to make the test case for it. Can we go to, can we go to Orlando? Can we go somewhere where the media is not as loud and relentless and brutal? But when I thought about Don Staley, I thought, well, they just had the best season in 25 years. Going to Don Staley, it's a little odd for that situation in this organization. But I do think, like Becky Hammon has been discussed, and I think about it because, and one of the reasons being is like if you picked a sport in the world and you said like soccer and women's basketball, Caitlin Clark can make shots that NBA players cannot make consistently. She is a better shooter than half the NBA. I'm absolutely sure of it. And I do think when you watch women's soccer, not as good as the men, but we've had so much success in the country. But I do think that there's something about basketball and that you are seeing. I remember watching Maya Moore and thinking she can make a Division One team. Maya Moore's Cheryl Miller, they make a Division One team. Do you believe? I do think there will be a female NBA coach eventually. And I think part of it is that women's basketball, Caitlin Clark's a great example. She's doing things I have never seen. I mean, would you want Miles Turner taking a 33-foot shot?
No. Yeah.
She's a better shooter than half the NBA.
Yeah. So, okay, I think these are two separate points. When I was reporting Pipeline to the Pros, the book that I wrote about the D3 coaches and players who made their
Yeah.
way to NBA coaches and executives, you talked to a lot of coaches and executives, both the D3 people and then the people who hired them and helped them kind of break in. And one of the lines of questioning that I would ask the Jeff Van Gundys, the Stan Van Gundys of the world was like, what's it like being you, the 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing, you know, white schlub, and trying to get Patrick Ewing's respect? Like, what's that like? And there were some great stories of being tested and being doubted, but almost universally, there was just a through line was even if you were doubted or if you were tested or if, Ty Lue didn't have to clear that hurdle because they knew that he knew it because he had played. All these players wanted you to be able to prove to them was, can you help them get better?
Yep.
That simple. It was
Yep.
because that can get them their next contract. It can extend their career. It can help get them a ring. It can get them a legacy. It can get them to have their jersey retired. It can get them a media career, like whatever it is, right? Like a good coach can level you up a little bit. And so I don't think it's ridiculous at all. And if Don Staley got the Knicks job, I completely agree with you. There would have just been an extra level of the circus because of
Right.
James Dolan,
Dolan.
James
Yeah.
Dolan, Tibbs, the first woman, New York, the media market, the whole thing.
That may be
But
the
like,
toughest job in the league, honestly.
no doubt. I completely agree with you. But I also don't think that Dawn Staley is the only woman who is capable of doing it. So like, say it did happen and then say she failed. I don't think that would like set back the idea of it 20 years. Like there's more than 30 competent coaches who could coach NBA teams.
Right.
There just is. And so some of it is opportunity, some of it's you host a podcast with LeBron, some of it's just like these owners lack creativity and they keep hiring Doc Rivers and whatever it is. There's a lot of different reasons why the people who get the jobs, but someone will do it
Yeah.
and then it will work. And then 5 or 6 women will be coaching in the NBA. And
Yeah.
someone will write wow, there's all these D3 people coaching in the NBA. How the hell did that happen? And then someone will write that book.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it is going to be, it hasn't happened and it's a little ridiculous that it hasn't, but it's going to happen because
Yeah.
there's
The
also
door.
like really talented female assistant coaches on not every
Yes.
staff in the league, but a huge percentage of staff, like shooting coaches, advanced scouts, like most teams have a woman somewhere in the first or second row of their bench at this point. So
Yeah.
the basketball is so much closer to it than
Well,
football.
and also, and I know there'll be somebody listening to this thinking, "Oh, it's woke." The truth is, the NBA is a more progressive league. So if any league was going to do it, it would be the NBA.
Yeah, and
They talk more politics than any league. That's just the history of the league.
yeah, and I'm so sick and tired of being policed by people being like, "Oh, that's a woke thought." Like it's not a pejorative. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care. Like okay, fine, fine. Make your comment on your on your blog. Oh, it's a woke thought that a woman could teach about the drop coverage in a. I'm not asking her to do a 360 dunk. Like I'm not asking her to guard LeBron. Like have you seen again? Like Stan Van Gundy. There's this crazy video, people should watch it, of him doing like a little dribble combo move, and he like goes between the legs and behind the back, and he's just like messing around before a practice. And it went viral and it got like millions of views. And they were like, how does the like short, fat white guy know how to dribble a basketball? And it's like, well, he played. Like he played D3 ball. Like his mind is a better teacher of basketball than his athleticism allowed him to do it. But he
Right.
crossed a threshold where
Well,
like he could play at a
yeah.
high enough level to know enough about the game to be able to speak to players.
And
Clearly,
the
there are
truth
women
is,
who have done the same thing.
how many great players in any sport have been great coaches? The truth of the matter, it's often somebody who has played the sport a little, men or women, but have this sort of, they were a utility infielder in baseball. They were, I mean, it's like the truth is coaches usually you have to get respect from players because like Larry Bird is the rare legend who coaches and you're like, oh, he's competent. That's rare. So you always have to get buy-in from players in all sports, like Mike Vrabel. Physical, you get buy-in. One of the smartest, but looks like he could beat up half the team. Like there's a physical presence with Vrabel. Like he gets immediate buy-in. Mike McDaniel, though, I'll argue this all day. Mike McDaniel had to convince those guys he looks like a sports writer. He's snarky and funny like a writer. Like he doesn't walk into a room of 55 alpha male and there's like complete buy-in. I guarantee you he thought a lot about that in football, especially because it's a size league.
Yeah, of course. And but like in basketball, like the only comment in here that I was like, I'm not even sure. Like I don't know what Maya Moore's level would have been because you don't see like Caitlin Clark playing in pickup games with Kevin Durant in
Right.
the offseason, right?
Right.
Like we're not anywhere close to a woman playing in the NBA,
Right.
but coaching, yeah, that's not a leap to me in any way. Like they already do. Like they already coach in the NBA right now. So like to be the head coach is not some sort of crazy thing for me to wrap my mind around. And my understanding is it's not a crazy thing for players to wrap their mind around either. As long as you can have one assistant coach described it to me as like they just want to know that you have the answer to the test.
Yep. Yeah.
Like there was like a hand signal that a point guard was calling out, and LeBron looked to this assistant coach, and the assistant coach didn't have it, and he said it ruined like his month because he felt like he had like let LeBron down. He didn't have the signal in the scouting report, and he was a new coach on the staff, and he felt like he had to like earn his trust back. And like they talked about it afterwards, and it was this whole big thing. And he's like, I felt like he was testing me. He wasn't. He was just asking what the call was from the other team in the scouting report. But like, there's no doubt that that's going to happen in basketball because, of course, a woman could pass that test. No question.
Yeah.
No question.
Um, you know, it's interesting. I have always sort of looked at sports. For years in our business, it was always football season and then waiting for football season.
Yeah.
But I do think two or three things have happened for guys like us that has really made. A couple of weeks ago, I had a week of radio. Um, I think it was the first 3 days Middlecoff filled in, and then JMac. I think it was just one of our weeks. And I was telling Middlecoff after like Tuesday's show, I'm like, it's late June. the NBA season's over, there is a lot of shit happening. Three things happened that are really good for us. Number one, Caitlin Clark. I'm sorry, she's on TV. I keep the TV on. Number two, I think we've talked about this. Rob Manfred made about 6 moves to baseball. It's just more enjoyable. The game is faster, it's quicker. The stars are all in New York, San Diego, Los Angeles, Atlanta. The Cubs are hot. It's like all the teams you want to win are winning. And the other thing that I think matters is I do think the NIL college basketball teams now are going buying the best 17-year-olds in Europe. They're now coming to play here, and the best college players, a handful are staying in college. I've said this, the UConn team 2 years ago, I'm like, oh, that could have played against Grant Hill and Bobby Hurley, and that's a real team. We went through a 30-year Sloyd in college basketball where Doug McDermott, probably a great guy, or Tyler Hansbrough wins Player of the Year, and they're rotational NBA players.
Sure.
The player, I mean, I just watched the draft where Cooper Flag is going to be 20 points a game first year or second year. Like he's going to be a great player. I think there's like even Ace Bailey, both the Rutgers guys could be really, really elite all-star level players. And so I think there was a time when the WNBA wasn't a topic. Baseball had a bad like 12-year stretch, 15-year stretch. In college basketball, I mean, unless you loved the sport, it's hard to watch. There were like games that were 54-48, not involving just Virginia. You're like, this is unwatchable. I feel like our industry's gotten a gift over the last several years. Like that 6 months without football, I I am doing shows thinking there are a lot of good topics now.
I agree with you. And I also think that we have just gotten like sports fans have gotten smarter. I still frankly have a problem with regular season baseball because the result of any one regular season baseball game just
Yeah,
doesn't matter. One of 162. Like they can't solve that problem for me personally.
yeah,
So I have a harder time finding it terribly interesting. Um, but to me, it's like the now the first apron, second apron stuff in the NBA is too confusing, but there is still something to like, where's KD going to go? What's going to happen with Giannis?
yeah,
How are the Lakers going to build around Luka and LeBron? Who is going to be competitive in the Eastern Conference? Oh, and I called it as soon as Rodgers signed for $13 million. The first thing my first take was that's a weird amount of money for him to sign for.
yeah.
Like that's Daniel Jones money. There's another move coming. And we did a topic on Breakfast Ball of like, okay, who could it be? And I said Tyreek Hill, Kyle Pitts, or Jonnu Smith. I gave 3 names. And they
Yeah.
just traded for Jonnu Smith. And I was like, hell yeah, got it right.
Yeah.
But like to me, like at the time it was an interesting topic because I laid out like he left money on the table. There had to be a reason. It's a 1 year deal. What are they lacking? What are they going to go do? So I think that because we are generally speaking more literate on more things, that fans understand NIL, right? To your point. So like you can then talk about transfer portal or why the draft didn't have international players in it. Like we have the ability to comprehend more things and have access to more things. So it's just there's less of an excuse to being like, yeah, it's a slow time in the sports calendar.
You know what's funny? Maybe we can end it here because I've always thought this funny. Like sports is always trying to kind of manufacture parody. You know, you win, you when you win, you get the last draft pick. And
Yeah.
there's limitations. You know, the lottery is set up to, even though the number one team doesn't win, it's usually like the fourth or fifth best odds win. A bad team gets good players. I think a lot of times the two things the media does that I kind of roll my eyes at, they make everything feel like the end of the world. I mean, people have to remember, I'm old enough. I don't remember this, but I remember my dad and mom, and people talked about this. In the 60s, our president was assassinated. So was his brother. So was MLK. Middle of a Vietnam War. And by 72, we're in Watergate. You think we have chaos now with tariffs? Like, folks, like the media tends to make every current bit of turbulence seem like, I mean, I thought our COVID coverage It was okay for about 2 months because it was new. We didn't know what was happening. But it did get to a point after about 6 months. We're not all going to die. Like there was pretty obvious stuff that we were seeing that kids were safe. You could go to school. It was mostly 75 and older. Like in the media for about like 2 years, the stories were it was relentless run for your life. So that's my first thing that drives me nuts. It's that we have to be a little less hyperbolic. And I think about this all the time as a sports guy. The second thing is they can be naive. We can be naive a little bit. And so I remember when the media can be like, guys, you're being idealistic. And I understand the media is young and hopeful. But when the NIL came out, I can remember a lot of these stories. And I can remember fans doing this. You know what? Finally, Purdue can compete.
Oh,
Now, because everybody said anybody can transfer, you won't have to sit behind Ohio State's left tackle, you can go. And I look at today, Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama,
Georgia,
Georgia, is
Clemson.
that I think the NIL and transfer portal are fascinating. One, players needed to be paid. And two, I think the transfer portal, I think you should have to wait 18 months to transfer. Like, I think you should be able to transfer 2 or 3 times. You can't keep transferring. Don't tell me coaches do. Power five coaches don't transfer every 6 weeks. That's not the way it works. But I guess my point is, do you do you love college sports less now that money is involved? Because I have friends who are like, I hate the NIL. And my take is, yeah, when the Huskies end up in the playoff, you'll be watching when Washington's facing Notre Dame. Don't tell me that. But I hear this all the time. NIL transfer portals ruined it for me.
Yeah, I don't. No, I don't. I mean, they were getting paid before. They were just like, I mean, like I remember the point guard of the Syracuse basketball team when I was there driving like a Dodge Charger that was all souped up, and I was like, where'd that come from? You know what I mean? Like, how did that happen? And so, it's just that part never bothered me. I think what is dumb about it is that we went from guys getting suspended for selling their Sugar Bowl jersey. And that was the biggest, right? I mean, Terrell Pryor, it was the biggest story in the world.
Remember that.
And right. And now it's like, oh, this guy got $4 million to transfer. And it's like, well, wait, what? And I have no problem. Like, go get your money. But because they had their head in the sand for so long, and they
Right.
just let it be the Wild West for so long, and they fought against unionization, and they fought against revenue sharing, and they fought against the video game, and like all of the things that just like, wait, I can buy a Syracuse 15 jersey, but it can't say Anthony on the back. And so like Melo doesn't get a piece of the cut. Like, what? Like it was just so stupid for so long that now the only thing that bothers me about it is that it's not that it's so far the other way, but it's like people are like, oh, that Cooper Flagg made $20 million in name, image, and likeness last year. And it's like, can you prove that? Like I wish there was like I like that I know what Aaron Rodgers signed for. I like that I know what LeBron gets paid. There's a salary cap. It makes it easy to find and follow, and you can
Yeah.
play GM and fantasy football and trades and dynasty mode in Madden. Like a lot of us like following sports from like the GM perspective of it because we never had any chance to be the quarterback of the team. And now it's just like, who's paying for the point guard? It's it's Under Armour or it's Nike or it's a car dealership. Like it's just, I wish that there was more transparency in how it all worked, as opposed to like, oh, Arch Manning has a reported $6 million NIL deal. And it's like, well, who's reporting it? From where? Is it a booster? Is it a sponsor? Like, I just wish that it was more transparent so that we could follow it and understand it more. Georgia has $50 million in their fund. Purdue has $6 million in theirs. That's really impressive that Purdue is able to be the Billy Bean Oakland Athletics of the Big Ten and like punch above their weight class and compete with Ohio State. Like, but we're just in the dark on all of the money of it, like we always were, frankly. But it's like they're trying to tell us, oh yeah, now they're getting paid and it's all above board, but it's clearly still not. And I don't know if I'm rambling here a little bit or if you're following what I'm
No, no,
saying,
no.
but it's like we need to have a happy medium. Like there's clearly billions of dollars and more of it is going to the players, and that's good. But it's not regulated in any way that makes sense. And it's not regulated in any way that a fan can realistically follow. And so I think that it doesn't make me like it less, but it makes me understand it less. Like, why did this player transfer there? Why are they leaving after 1 year? How
Yeah.
much money are they getting? Oh, I would transfer there too if they were
Well,
giving me $4 million and this place was only giving me $1 million. But like, I want that to be above board and reported with some level of accuracy. And
yeah.
I feel like it's not at all.
Yeah, the thing about the one thing I'll say about the transfer portal, I think Jay Billis is a really smart guy. I think he's really wrong on one thing when he says, "Well, coaches can transfer, why can't players?" And my take is because Eric Shanks is responsible for all of Fox Sports. I'm just responsible for my show. A coach isn't a player. A coach is responsible for the staff, the brand, the name. The player's responsible for himself. So in
Right.
the end, if a coach gets bought out, if the athletic department like makes him pay some money back and he leaves, that's not a player leaving. I mean, people, bosses I've had at the big companies I've worked at have pensions that I'm not allowed to get. I'm just an employee, their management. So the only thing I hear about, well, players, coaches do that. Coaches are management. Management's different. Management has things they will never let you see. There are documents that management has at Fox Sports. I don't get to see where they're going, what they're doing, what corners coming up, the contract negotiations. Players don't get to see everything coaches do. You don't get all the information. You don't have to balance the budget. You don't have to be a capologist. So that my thing on I don't believe players should be able to just transfer constantly. I think like every 18 months, that'll give you two transfers. Basically, if you stayed for 4 or 5 years, you get two transfers outside of your initial signing, right? You could
Yeah, I
sign,
think that there's some
transfer, transfer.
yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think that if you're a kid who's going to a college because the coach recruited you and then the coach leaves, I also think that should open you up. So if I sign on to play college
Yeah,
football for Clemson and Dabo, and then Dabo decides to leave, like I
yeah.
think I think that is a reasonable thing for a kid to be able to say, well, wait, I signed on to play for this coach, and now this coach is not there anymore, so I want to be able to move. But also, kids should be able to go to college where they want to, for the most part, right?
Yeah, I think again, I think you have to have guardrails on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just everything needs guardrail. AI,
Sure, sure,
AI
sure.
needs it. The internet needs it. I don't think it's crazy. I've said this before. Canada's got certain restrictions, like you have to on a Canadian radio station play Canadian artists a percentage of the time. I've never thought it's crazy to restrict some of the things allowed on the internet. Every other country does. Like to just say, hey, listen, we're not going to allow like blank, 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 like heavy violence on it. We're not going to
Sure,
allow
sure,
that.
sure.
I
Yeah.
don't think I don't think I'm punitive or ultra conservative. Like there's crap in the internet kids shouldn't see, and if we can't tell, parents, some parents at 6 let their kids get on the internet. Well, then we shouldn't. We should have things that are completely, absolutely restricted.
Yeah. Reasonable restrictions for the right. There's a reason why there are seatbelt laws because it's a good idea, right? It's a good idea
Right.
to protect people from themselves, et cetera. No, I got no problem with that. But I just and like the you asked like, does it make me like it less? It doesn't make me like it less. It makes me resent the leadership a little bit more because I feel like this could have been done 20 years ago, like in
Hmm.
partnership with the players. Oh, you guys want to be in a video game and have your name in there and get a little bit of money? And like we could have like eased into this as opposed to going from nothing to everything all at once. And now it's just very messy and very confusing. And high school kids have agents, and it just, it's just it went so far so fast that I feel like it needs to come back a little bit, not in terms of like make less money, but in terms of, to your point, regulation. It needs to just make a little bit more sense as a system for the betterment of everybody.
Danny Parkins. Okay, we rambled for an hour. We landed on a couple of topics. I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah, I never know. I don't prep these at all. Can't you tell? You don't tell me
Yeah,
what's going to happen. We just talk for an
clearly
hour.
I don't either.
It's the best. Congratulations again, Colin. Seriously.
All right. Thanks, Danny. Thanks, buddy.